Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make some American style scones or scones, similar to American biscuits, and these are going to be wedge shaped or triangular shaped basically, as opposed to the round scone that we might eat in the UK usually. And I'm going to flavour them with some cheddar cheese, so a savoury scone. And basically these aren't the ones which I would tear apart and butter. I'll just have them on the side of my dinner and eat them with my dinner. So very simple to make, don't take long at all, and it doesn't take long to bake them either. So I start off by preheating my oven to 220 Celsius, that's 200 Celsius with a fan, 425 Fahrenheit, and I've lined a baking tray with some parchment paper. So I go on to the ingredients, and for this I have 285 grams, which is 1 2/3 cups, plus a scant 1/4 of a cup of plain flour. I have 56 grams, about half a cup of cheddar cheese which I have grated. I have 360 millilitres, 1½ cups of double cream or heavy cream. I have 4 grams, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 9 grams, 2 teaspoons of sugar. It's not going to make them sweet, it's just going to give a little bit of sort of just a very slight hint of sweetness, but it also helps the browning. And I'm going to use 3 grams, half a teaspoon of salt. Then I also have some extra cream which I'm going to brush over the top. That will also help the browning. So I can put that to one side for a minute and mix the rest of the ingredients together to make the scones. And I'm going to do it in this bowl. So I'm going to put my flour in, and then the salt, the sugar and the baking powder. And I'm going to give those a stir around to get those combined. And then I'm going to add the cheese in as well. And I'm just going to toss that around to get that mixed through. Like that. And then I'm going to pour in most of my cream. I'm going to hold back just a little bit of it, but I'll use that later. So I'm going to pour in at least 1¼ cup, maybe slightly more. And I'm simply going to mix that around to get that to clump together into a dough, and that takes no time at all. And I don't want to work this very much at all, otherwise the gluten will start to form and then you won't have the nice tender scones or scones that I want. So that's almost mixed through, but there's some dry bits, as you can see, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour the rest of my cream onto those dry bits and then scrape down the bowl. And then I'm going to tip that out onto my work surface, and I'm just going to squeeze it to bring it together a little bit so that any remaining dry flour gets incorporated. And as you can see, it looks dry and powdery, but it will be fine. So I've just kneaded that for about 30 seconds and it's all come together. So I'm just going to put a little bit of flour on my surface, and I'm going to flatten the dough into a disc which is about 3/4 of an inch, maybe slightly thicker in thickness, and I want it about 8 inches in diameter. So I've taken part of my springform pan to help me measure that, and you don't have to be too precise. Now you could, if you wanted to, cut these out into rounds about 7 centimetres. That would be what, about 2.5 inches, something like that. But I quite like the idea of the wedge shaped ones. And that's just about all I need to do, really. And so I'm going to cut that into 8 pieces, but first I'm going to just take a little bit of that extra cream that I had. I'm just going to brush it on the top. Again, you could do this once you've cut them, but it's easier to do it now, and that way the cream shouldn't run down the sides and inhibit the rise. And they will brown anyway without the cream if you wanted to omit this particular stage. That would be fine. That's good like that. So then I'm going to cut those into 8 pieces. So I'll cut it first of all into 4, and then into 4 the other into 2, and then into 4 going the other way. And then I'll cut each of those into 2 as well, like that. And I'm going to put those onto my baking tray, and I have them on the baking tray there. So I'm then going to put those into the oven, and I'm going to bake them for about 21-22 minutes. They should rise up, they should go a nice golden brown colour on the top, and they should bake all the way through, slightly moist inside maybe because of the cheese, but they should bake and be nice and fluffy. So then I take them out of the oven and put them onto a wire rack and allow them to cool down a little bit before I come back and show you the results. I baked the American style cheesy scones for 22 minutes. I took them out of the oven and put them onto a wire rack, and they've been on the wire rack for a couple of minutes now. I've already eaten one, Well, it's very, very hot, but they've cooled down just a little bit, and this is what they look like. And I've broken another one open, so they're nice and fluffy inside. There's a slight moistness, but you can see the flakes, but a slight moistness from the cheese, of course. So I'll have a taste of this piece. That's very, very nice. I get just the slightest hint of the cheese. It's not over powerful, but a very, very nice taste. So these are easy to make, and as I said, you could, if you wanted to, make them in a round shape, but I've done them like this, and I will have them on a side plate with my dinner, or with some soup or something like that. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there'll be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.